put in. Danny Ainge is awesome. Fast break number 2. We're moving on. Zion Williamson, fresh off his new. That's what I picked up from all of you. That's what I gathered. That's how I recap. Fresh off his new mega deal with the Pelicans. A deal that we now learned includes an interesting weight clause, states that Zion will have periodic weigh-ins, and the sum of his body weight and body fat percentage must be below 295. If not, the amount of guaranteed money in his contract can be reduced. I think I speak for all of us when I say that's a great weight clause for us. We should all sign up for that. Nick, what do you make of this?
Well, here's what I make of it. First of all, I hope Zion takes this to the brink. I hope he tries to push the limit here. Like, can I be 290 but have a 5% body fat? Can I just be the most physically gifted specimen in league history? Take that, LeBron. The other question I would have for the panel is this. What would you personally be more bothered by? If your job said you have an independent study clause, or if your job said you have a don't gain too much weight clause? Me personally, I'd be more bothered by the study clause. Be like, you guys think I don't study? Now I might occasionally put on a few pounds depending on the season, but give me a break. Now, here's the deal. I actually, Antoine, like this. Because what I have seen with Zion in the, few videos we've seen, he does seem to have a shocking, range of potential weights and looks. There are times where it's like, is Zion 320 pounds right now? And then there's this, where it's like, is Zion the greatest athlete to ever live? Maybe. So I think it is their way of trying to protect him from himself, which is, we know sometimes you can all of a sudden let it get away from you, and now you have a guardrail in place. There's only so much you can do to prevent injury, but one of the things you can do is try to be in the best shape possible. So I think Zion's good with it. I don't think it's offensive or a problem, and I think it's smart by the Pelicans.
Well, I think me and Chris both was on the same page where we thought he should get, a good deal, but he should have some weight provisions in it, and I'm not surprised by this. Listen, I played for the Miami Heat. I was telling you guys, and the Miami Heat culture, they do body fat and every week, and you got to weigh in every week. So that's part of their organization. What they like to do, they basically measure players at the beginning of the season. Pat Riley comes down and lets you know where he wants you to stay at throughout the season, and guys have no problem with it. You get fined every week if you don't make the weight requirements, and everybody's, I haven't seen anybody complain about it. I mean, obviously guys, don't hate weighing in every Monday, especially when you're on the road and you still got to do it. It's something that makes you disciplined. It makes you focus in on your body and make sure you do right during the season and stay the healthiest possible. So I think it's great. It's going to make him a great player. We know how good he can be, and if he's able to keep that weight off, sky's the limit how good he can be. So I think this is a great thing that New Orleans did. We were worried that they didn't do it, but I'm glad to hear that they did do it.
Right. Yeah, I'm totally with you, Twan. And you guys know this. I wasn't eager necessarily to give Zion this type of contract. But I said, if you do, as long as you have clauses such as this in it, then it's fine. Because the bottom line is he hasn't been healthy, period, right? For the better part of 3 years. And I think his health and productivity is directly related to his weight. All right. And so they were smart to put this in. And like you said, Twan, here's what a lot of people are focusing on. Wow, should they be able to do this? Is this too tough on Zion? This is great for Zion. All right. He may need the external pressure to do this. I think it's going to make him a much better player, keep him at his optimum weight. Charles Barkley, who a lot of people compare Zion to, remember, he said he lost 40 pounds or something like that when he got into the league, and the rest was history with him. So this is great. It was smart, and it's good for the Pelicans and Zion.
And just a reminder for America, as Zion, is back healthy and about to start playing again, Zion is one of my 3 guys. I have LeBron, Luka, and Zion. Brew has Ja, Steph, and a player to be named later. Antoine has Jason Tatum, Russell Westbrook, and Kevin Durant. And Wilds has Donovan Mitchell, Patrick Beverley, and Chet.
Yeah.
And you know what? Give Wild support. He also has Jose Alvarado.
He also has Jose
Alvarado.
Oh, yeah. Who's got the worst list?
Wild Kids 4, just so everybody knows.
Whose list would get demolished in 3-on-3?
Antoine, I have one general manager, and I'm going to keep it at that. Speaking of weigh-ins, the guys are going to weigh in on Tyreek Hill's latest head-scratching comments about the Dolphins. First things first, we got Antoine Walker joining us for a little fast break. So for weeks, we've been talking, Twan, about Donovan Mitchell perhaps going to the Knicks, and yet despite seeing Donovan all over New York, nothing. Why? They got R.J. Barrett ready to trade, except Bleacher Report say now that the Jazz, quote, don't really have much interest in R.J. Barrett and in paying him. Wilds, you're our Donovan guy and our Knicks guy. You worried this deal isn't going to happen?
First of all, Jazz, R.J. Barrett wasn't on the board. So don't come out saying you're not interested in R.J. Barrett. He wasn't going to Utah anyways. Danny Ainge, Jenna, I'm sorry, but the fact that Danny Ainge, I'm not interested in R.J. We're not offering R.J. Barrett. We want R.J. Barrett. Sorry. Danny Ainge gets me in some kind of fervor. Antoine, I'm not worried about this.
He does the opposite.
Do we think KD is going to be traded? Kinda. Do we think Kyrie is going to be traded? Kinda. Do I think Donovan's going to be traded? Yes. And my guy, Patrick Beverley, I'll follow Patrick Beverley to the ends of the earth. He had a quote, I think it was last week. I'll just read it to you verbatim. It was like, hey, you've made the playoffs. Are you excited? He says, we'll see when the dust clears. Hopefully, Donovan Mitchell, refers to him as Donovan Mitchell, stays and the team is competitive. If that's the case, we're very excited. But as well as I know Patrick Beverley, he doesn't think Donovan Mitchell is going to stay. The fact that he's referring to him as Donovan Mitchell was the big signifier there. So I'm not worried. Donovan will be here. The Mets are playing well. He's really focused on rooting for the Mets, but I'm not worried, Antoine. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I said this before with the Knicks should do everything possible to get Donovan Mitchell. They've had trouble signing free agents. They've had trouble getting big-name stars to New York. So you got an opportunity to give them, and you got to leverage your future. You have to do it. I would not want to part ways with R.J. Barrett. I just look at the growth and development that he's had. He was a 20-point scorer last year. He's only getting better. He's one of the few guys in this league that, at that position, he could be a pretty good two-way player. So when you start to get a guy who could be a two-way player, you want to keep them. And he shoots the three at a 35% clip. So if I'm the Knicks, I don't want to give up R.J. Barrett to get Donovan Mitchell, even though Donovan Mitchell's young and has proven himself in the league. So the Knicks fans should be happy that R.J. Barrett's off the table. But you know what this comes down to. Our good friend Danny Ainge has got the gun out, the ski mask on, and he wants everything. He probably wants their draft picks for the next 6 years. And he's making it very difficult, and he probably doesn't even want a player back in return. And that's what it's looking like, because obviously it's not going to be a Julius Randle. They just signed Jalen Brunson. I don't think they can get Mitchell Robinson. They just signed Mitchell Robinson to a deal. So when you look at the Knicks roster, you can tell it's about picks. He wants more picks, and this is what he does. This is Danny Ainge and the magic that he does. But if I'm the Knicks, you may have to entertain it. He kind of got you right now stuck between the hard place, because Donovan Mitchell can make a tremendous impact to the Knicks.
Yeah, look, it's never a done deal with the Knicks, right? When you think it's going to happen, it usually doesn't. But Wilds, I hear some comforting words. I do think the Knicks are still sizably the most likely destination for Donovan Mitchell. Now, Miami's lurking, but they don't have what Utah is looking for. There are a lot of teams that could put together a better package talent-wise than the Knicks, but Ainge doesn't want talent. He wants draft picks, and he wants young players on very small contracts. That's why he doesn't even want R.J. Barrett, because Barrett's going to want an extension going forward. And if you don't extend him, you just got to let him walk for nothing, so he doesn't even become an asset. All right, so that's why he doesn't want Barrett. So I think the Knicks still, Wilds, when it comes to draft picks and young, nondescript players, they got the best offer for Utah. So I think it'll happen eventually.